Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Astral Sorcery. Today I'm going to be teaching you a little bit more about things in the attunement chapter, specifically magic wands and how you can use them to the best abilities as possible. Alright, so here I am on an attunement altar. Am I covering actual attunement today? No, I'm going to be covering magic wands in the attunement chapter, which, if you're not familiar with where that is, it's right here. And we've already covered how to get this far so far in the mod. And I'm going to be covering basically this little area here. And this just kind of introduces you to a little bit of information on how these things have... They've actually changed a little bit on how they function from previous versions. That is focusing entirely on Starlight charge. But there's also some changes in the wands, at least since I've covered them in the distant past. But some of it is very similar. So, charge channeling and Starlight charge. If you have not gone through attunement yet, Starlight attunement, then it will be a little bit weird because I haven't actually done that yet in this playthrough. So I am not attuned as of yet. So you can still use these wands. You've unlocked the chapter, you can use the wands, and it'll be fine. So there are a few different wands to choose from. The Traversal Wand, the Impulsion Wand, and two different construction wands, specifically the Conversion Wand and the Formation Wand. Now let's start off with those that are dealing with travel first. They're actually, in my mind, a lot more fun than the building ones, but it all depends if you want to do building or not. So let's start off with this. At the beginning you saw I was wearing an elytra. This will also work with a Visio Mantle of the Stars, which is something I can cover much later, but know that you can make a piece of armor that can double as an elytra that also gives you armor and acts like an elytra that does not use durability when you fly, which is really nice. Now, if you make a Traversal Wand, it has two modes. Traversal Wands are made with a relatively simple recipe on your Starlight crafting altar or above. Now, once you've made it, you have two options. One, you can right-click, you can sneak, right-click, and you can change your modes. You've got blink and you've got dash. And if you look down here above, above the XP bar, actually overlapping the XP bar is kind of like this blue haze. That's your Starlight charge, which if I use this wand, let's actually start using it. I'm going to go into blink mode. What blink mode does is you aim at something and you'll actually teleport to it, provided you're not too far from it. And it will use up the appropriate amount of Starlight that is highlighted. If you notice down below, I have this really green area that is currently highlighted. That's how much it's going to use with this one blink action. Pow. I just teleported and you can see that my Starlight charge is currently recharging. It turns red for a moment and then it keeps going up and you see some blue on there. Essentially, if it's red, you don't have enough Starlight charge to use this blink again. You have to wait for it to recharge. Now, if I use it over here, I am underground. You can see that it is so much slower, painfully slower than it was before. Why? It's because I am not exposed to the sky. So these abilities are going to be severely hampered by not having exposure to the sky. Unless, of course, you unlock certain perks and abilities from attunement later on. Just another reason why you really want to get yourself attuned. But we'll cover that, like I said, in a future episode. So, now that you know what blink does, which in itself is really nice. You do have to be careful though, because if you end up blinking to the side of something and then you fall down, yeah, that's going to be bad. You probably want to blink above something, but also be sure that you can get it within range. So if I'm trying to blink up here, there we go. I just blinked up here and then I have to wait again before I can blink and then I can just teleport back. It's really convenient for getting places. Especially if you're climbing up hills and mountains and stuff, or just there's a big gap. The nether is another place, but once again, no exposure to the sky. It's going to be very, slow to recharge. Now, if I go with dash mode, you saw that at the beginning of the episode when I had the elytra on. Blink mode doesn't really help you much with an elytra, but with dash mode, it does. So just by holding it, I can charge it up, and the longer I charge it, ow. The more the bigger area I go. If I just do a little charge, I do a little hop. And to give you an example, it's just a little hop, like a few blocks, just by doing a small charge. And if I do a really big charge, you can see it slowly builds up until there, the maximum. You can actually go up into the sky trigger your elytra, and then you can start charging it again and release, and you've got yourself basically infinite fireworks as long as you've got some exposure to the sky, which is really nice. And even if you don't have exposure to the sky, you still might be able to get some of these, you know, shooting you around a bit in places like the Nether or even some caverns dimensions. Now, I am no good with elytras, as you can see. I usually end up killing myself, so... but it's still a lot of fun to use this infinite starlit powered wand instead of having to rely on fireworks. So, what other wands do we have? Let's go with the Impulsion Wand. This is also a traversing wand, especially because it's just a lot of fun. It's like a rubber banding grappling hook. So if I aim up here and I right click, it'll spring me up here, and you see it's very precarious. I did not actually press any buttons except for the right click to launch myself. And you think, all right, well, if I use this to get down, I'm just going to like crash to the ground and die, right? No, it actually gives you like some fall protection, so you don't, there you go, take any damage from it. But if you notice, I did still have gravity affecting me. It didn't just pull me straight to the beam of light. And I could just jump up here, and there we go. It's pretty darn good for just getting around places. It's especially good for climbing hills. It's a little bit weird when you're trying to... Here, let's actually try aiming for this, and I'm probably going to run into this. All right, there we go. Oh no, I actually caught the top of it. That's something that I wanted to address, though, is that you have to be cautious with it. If you launch this and there's something in the way, you're going to run into it, and it's going to kind of cause you to stop there. Alternately, you can just use it, and it'll kind of like bring you to a location and bounce you back and forth a little bit. Boing. You know, sometimes it'll just like spring you back and forth a little bit, but not too much. In previous versions, it would have you like wobble back and forth about 5 times. Now it's more like 1, maybe 2 times at best that it'll do that. And it uses so much less of your Starlight charge that you can use it more frequently. In fact, you can use it twice in a row, you know, before you end up wearing it out. And once it's done, pow, pow, you know, and then by then you're already recharging stuff. So it's pretty good. You can use it a lot more frequently than you can the Traversal wand in dash or blink mode. Now let's move on to other wands. We've got the Formation Wand and the Conversion Wand. In fact, I should mention that the recipe for the Impulsion Wand is really dirt cheap. I mean, you just need Stardust, which you've got access to in this chapter. So, Formation Wand. It just requires some purple dye, Stardust, and some Rune Marble. Again, another cheap wand that can be very, very useful. You can use it in a lot of different ways. Primarily, it's a builder's wand with 4 different settings that you can use in a multitude of different ways. So let's start with the first one, which is Align to Player. If I have a material that I want to build with, let's say sand, I'm going to actually get a bunch of sand from JEI inventory here. Let's actually grab a bit of this. There we go. I now have 64 blocks of sand, right? Well, I'm not showing anything. I click, nothing happens. You need to sneak right click on what you want to build with. So you have to have placed a block of what you want to build with first. There you go, and you see it at the top right or top left there. It says 64 blocks. Now, if I aim out here, line to player, it will go from where you're aiming to you, but only on like the north, south, east, west. It doesn't do diagonals. There is a mode that will do that, but this is not it. So therefore, if I just right click again, it will place those, and you notice that I now have 57 sand instead of 64. If I aim up here, I can place a whole bunch. The whole line falls down, but it did place them, and I now have 37. So if I try and place below me, you'll notice it only has 1 block up here. Why is it only that instead of like this giant column going up to the sky? Because it goes to the player. So where I'm at, you notice if I jump, it actually goes up to 2 blocks. If I launch myself even higher, it's much higher. Ow. But you get the idea that it will actually have a line of blocks going back to the player. Now, you'll notice this one here, it only goes 5. It's because I represent being in this plane. And you do have a minimum distance. You notice I'm clicking here and nothing's happening. Nothing will actually place. But once I get far enough away, it will then start placing. So it does have a minimum range distance. But you can place really far away nonetheless. So it's a really impressive builder's wand in some ways like that. Now, this isn't just the end of it, though. if I wanted to, I could also add some different blocks. You notice now that I have all sorts of marble and sand available as my options for placing, but I don't have any except for the sand. So if I go to place the sand, it will actually place it. But you'll notice that some of the blocks are actually kind of changing shapes and stuff as I hold this. That's because it's still trying to randomly place the other blocks. And if I don't have any, it will just leave a blank empty space. So let's actually get some of these marble variants in my inventory. I'm going to take, I think I had some of the arches, I had some of the pillars, some of the regular marbles, and we need no more. Actually, that's all of them that I need. Now, when I do this, I do a random line of the different types of materials in my inventory, which is really cool. So you can actually have randomized paths if you wanted to have a whole bunch of like stone, cobblestone, smooth stone, etc. You can have bricks in there, and then you can make your own like mix and mash of different things, which is pretty darn cool. But only as much as you have in your inventory. If I start using these up, eventually I'm going to run out of, let's see if I can actually get this to work a bit here, run out of sand. Or is it actually just going to, because I've got so many materials and it doesn't use as much for the randomization of this. There we go, my sand's out. So now when I end up doing anything, it's all going to be just marble variants until I run out of those ones. But it's really, really nice for just building in general, as one would expect. Now, this isn't all. This is just the first mode that I'm sharing. So if you want to change modes, or even better, if you don't want these items on the side here, you don't want any of those displayed, or you don't want to build with those, you accidentally clicked one that you didn't want to, just left click, like punch with the wand once, and it will reset everything. And then you can choose them one at a time. I wanted these three. I didn't want sand or whatever the fourth one was. I just want those three, and then I could build with those ones. And then, of course, you have to be a minimum distance away, and so on. Works really good. So, what's another mode? Sneak and right-click, and that is your next mode. Line from player. Now, this builds instead of from somewhere you're pointing back towards yourself in a north, south, east, west pattern, it goes the opposite way. And this includes diagonals. So it'll go from you out there. It also goes up and down Y levels. So if I choose something that I have in my inventory, I've got ruined marbles and marble arches. Let's do those. All right, this and this. So if I kind of aim down for myself, now you notice nothing happens here. I'm aiming down here, nothing is happening. You have to be kind of out on an edge for it to actually start showing up. So it builds from the player block. You might need to be a little bit closer, but then you can build something like a little stairway. And you'll notice, there we go. I have a randomized stairway because I chose two different blocks to build with. Now, if I get myself a whole bunch of marble bricks, there we go. And then I'm going to put this down here so I can add it to the group. Actually, let's left click, and then I'm going to right click or sneak right click on a block to add it. Then I might be able to actually kind of create this to go in different directions. Now, once again, you probably need to be in like close to an edge in order to build like this. But then once you do, you might be able to go, all right, there. I have created myself a stairway of all these things going up. And you notice that it kind of staggered a little bit there too. That's because I was actually aiming one block off. And again, I probably need to be closer to an edge, then I can build back down, and then just head back down this way. It's really nice way of getting around, especially in large or difficult terrain builds. Like I'm in an amplified map right now. Alternately, if you're in the Nether, that's also very difficult. You can see I was experimenting and playing around with stuff up there. Now there are more than just this as well, and it uses all the same functionality. You can keep on adding multiple blocks just by sneak right clicking all these different blocks and stuff, and you can left click to clear away whatever you want. The next mode is horizontal plane. Now this one here, I'm actually just going to do it in creative to make it a little bit simpler so that I don't have to keep replenishing stuff in my inventory. But you can see here, it can make a horizontal plane limited by how many blocks are in your inventory. I'm in creative, so it's just going to give me infinite, but this is the biggest area that it's going to cover. It is not adjustable in its size that it will affect. So I can just click and pow, I have this massive area. Why do you want to do this? Because you've got to make things like this. your sooty marble, this just allows you to just kind of like click and create one really quick and easy. And then you can just add in the edges. And you can even convert it to, you know, lines instead. It's just so much easier. You could do almost everything remotely with your wand if you just stand up on a ledge, and you don't have to build any of it if you're really, you know, kind of want to. And it saves you from placing, what is it, like 128 sooty marble or something crazy like that? There's a lot here for building an attunement altar, I tell you what. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to cover wands first, specifically the formation wand, because it's really good. Now, if I add some other things like this, and let me get back up here, and we'll do this, and heck, I'll even add, oh no, that's protected sand. If I aim here, let's actually get back up. Oh, I left clicked and I punched something. Oh no. There we go. All right, so I've got 4 different types of items, and I'm in creative, so it's going to assume that I have all of them in my inventory. But you can see that the shapes are actually changing just by hovering over this. You can see that they're changing the shapes and stuff. And I click, and you can see that it made this mishmash of all sorts of things randomly placed. It's really good for just creating decorative builds, and I highly recommend it. Now, there is still 2 more modes on this. Let's go to the next one. Sneak right click in the air, and you get a vertical plane. It's the same as the horizontal plane, but it's going to be vertical. That's it. So there we go. I just made this random bunch of stuff. And yes, this is going to be using up your Starlight charge. Down below, you can see the green area, how much it uses when you place that many blocks. But seriously, I mean, I will gladly wait for the Starlight charge to recharge just so I can place all of this with a single click. But you can see how this can be interesting as well. This just allows you a certain vertical access. All the same functions are the same. Left click in order to make all of them go away. Sneak right click on an item to choose that in order to place it. There we go. I now made a big wall of sand. And now, next item. In the air, sneak right click, and you get a sphere. There are actually 2 versions of sphere. There is a solid sphere, which, this is sand, so it should mostly fall. There we go. The other one is a hollow one, but first let me actually break this and choose something a little bit more solid. And I'll sneak right click on an item. I can even put this here. There we go. It has now made myself a very large spherical item. No, you cannot change the size of this in the current version that I am reviewing. There is no option to do so. And it is solid, made out of the block that you have. So you'll have to have a lot of blocks in your inventory in order to make this. The second option, which, yes, you can make it out of multiple materials, like same as all the other stuff before. You can just make it go away by left clicking. You can then also add in multiple materials and make this weird mangled thing, you know, it's a mixture of a ball of stuff. But let's go with the next one. Sneak right click in the air, a hollow sphere. This is the last one. And you just, you know, choose your item. You can actually somewhat see inside of it. Now I'm going to do this kind of on the side here. There we go. And if I break this, actually, here, let me use this one to break. You can see that there's the old sphere. Here's the inside of the new one. It's that simple. You just need a bunch of Starlight charge in order to do it. That's pretty much it. And then once you click, you just got to wait for it to recharge again. Now, there are ways of enhancing your Starlight charge now, specifically in the perk tree, but we're not covering that today. We're going to be instead covering the last wand, the Conversion Wand. All right, the Conversion Wand is an amazing and excellent functionality. It allows you to, instead of, you say, oh, you know what? This looks really ugly with bricks. I wanted it to be more black. Same thing as the other wand, the Formation Wand. Actually, here, let me kind of click and get that off of there. Same thing as the Formation Wand. You're going to want to sneak right click on an item you want to exchange. And you'll notice that it's trying to exchange stuff here. Well, let me actually switch my mode, and you'll see that it's only showing 1 block. But when I click, nothing happens. Same as the other wands. The other wand. You need to have materials in your inventory. So if I get a bit of sooty marble, put that in my inventory, I can exchange up to 64 blocks. If I only have 3 of them, it will only let me exchange up to 3 blocks. And it will be of whatever type I'm looking at, regardless of it being sand or this or that. As long as it's a solid block and not some kind of entity or something weird like that, it'll allow me to change it. So I could just go these 3, There we go. And then you saw that they just popped off into the air. Let me grab a few more here. And then I could potentially wait for my Starlight charge there. And then I just exchange them. And you see they all just kind of popped off into the air. Now here's something that you will probably need to know. And that is, it doesn't work for everything. All right, so for example, I have some glass. And I'm going to use the conversion wand. Sneak right click on that. Actually, no, I don't want this. Let me just left click and make it go away. Sneak right click on the glass. There we go. And now I'm going to exchange all this sooty marble for glass, which is fine. It seems to work just fine. But the problem here is first and foremost that I've been doing this in the dark. Let me get rid of all the glass. I have no glass, no sooty marble, no marble bricks in my inventory. Yes, it's possible I could pick one or two up, but I'm going to keep just a bunch of quartz pillars, just for the sake of making things different. Let's bring another light back into here. And I use the conversion wand. I just want to left click to make the current selection go away. Sneak right click. I'm going to exchange the glass for that. Well, guess what happens when you mine up glass? It breaks. So, therefore, you can't get everything that you want, but you might be able to get the things that you need. It'll work for a lot of really good things, you know, like obsidian, for example. Let me grab some obsidian here, and if I put one down, put another light back up top here, and I sneak on here, and then we can exchange this, and then I want instead these ones, so let me choose that. I can exchange this back out, and I can get those with a single click. So it's really, really convenient for getting a whole lot of obsidian if you have some kind of like large area to just grab them. If you're not using other mods to just get infinite obsidian, this is a really quick and easy way to mine it, especially if you turn it into something like sand and then you just put a torch underneath or whatever. Or you just use some kind of infused item like a infused shovel or an infused pick, and then they'll just mine insane amounts of stuff. But that is pretty much going to take care of it, short of the fact that you can actually increase the size of the conversion wand. This is very different from the building wand or the formation wand because of that. 7x7, 9x9, 11x11, and what I was working with, 5x5. So give you an idea of how big these are. Let me switch my mode. There we go. So you've got this one here is 5x5, and then we need 7x7, 9x9, and 11x11. So this is pretty darn good. You can exchange things out. I made an oops when I built this stuff. Now I've got my conversion wand to fix it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If so, be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, be sure to come by, visit us on Twitch, help spread the mischief. Until next time, folks, I'll see ya.